Good morning, students. Welcome to the class of English. In the previous class, we have studied from the lesson the tsunami, the grammar. I hope you all understand the grammar points. If you have any queries, you can call me and you can ask me. I try to reach you out and teach you again the parts where you have not properly understood. I hope you all understand. Let us move on to the next poem. This is poem number 2, that is geography lesson. How many of you like to study the geography lessons? Actually, geography is one of the section of studies under social sciences. Geography is the subject regarding the places and what kind of natural resources that are occur and produced in the land and how they can be utilized the people and what kind of people are living or existed in that particular environment of different places or the different countries. Geography is about the physiological structure of the places and the production of different kinds of minerals as well as the other natural resources. In this poem, the geography lesson, let's go and study what the poet is talking about. The poet of this poem geography lesson is Zulfikar Ghose. Zulfikar Ghose. And he says like this: can you imagine what your city would look like if you saw it from 10,000 feet above the ground? Okay, when we are on the ground, we cannot experience the area, the size of the area, and how that area looks. When you move out from this ground and go little higher, and if you move on to at about 10,000 feet, and if you look from there, how planned way, how this particular area is looking in a very planned and how it is being designed properly. When we are on the ground, we may not experience how it is planned out. If you move away from this ground or fly up to some 10,000 feet, then you can look down how the ground is looking. You can easily identify and you really appreciate the way it is being planned. And neatly planned and perfect in proportion. The proportion of that particular area could be well understood when you go away from this ground and when you fly up to some 10,000 feet or some 20,000 feet. And it is perfect, 100% perfectly planned, and the proportion like a geometric design. Then you can understand who and how it is being measured and it is being geographically designed. Until then we never understand, until then we never even think about it, how it is being designed. It would strike you as something very different from what it actually is while you are on the thick of it. When you are on the ground, when you look from here, you cannot cover the area. Your eye, the vicinity of your eye. Vicinity means the area that human eye can cover. Our human eye can cover up to some distance, but after that we cannot view it. We cannot take it as a whole. If you move away from the ground and fly up to some 10,000 to 15,000 feet, then you can understand how geographically this land is being designed and how it is being proportionated. Okay, here is a poet description of just such a view of the city. And he says that how this city is being viewed and some questions that come to your mind. Zulfikar Ghose says that if you wanted to study any place, if you wanted to know about the geographical features of that particular land or that particular area, you need to leave the ground and move little away from it, little higher, so that you can focus at that particular area so well and you can understand how well, okay, that engineers have geographically designed that area. So in this poem, we will learn from the view of Zulfikar Ghose how that land is appeared. When the jet sprang into the sky, when the jet plan, spring, sprang, sprung. What are the tense forms of spring? Spring, sprang and sprung. Okay, and when the jet plane sprang into the sky, it was clear why the city had developed the way it had. It was very, very clear why the city had developed the way it had. Once it was not that very planned, but now it is planned very well. That's why it is now only you can understand when you fly up in the jet, then you can understand how well it is being planned. It was clear why the city had developed the way it had. Now you can understand from the jet plane, if you look into the ground, you can understand how well developed the place was. Okay, and seeing it scaled some 6 inches to the mile. Seeing it scaled some 6 inches to the mile, there seemed an inevitability about what on ground had looked haphazard. What does it mean by inevitable? That you cannot be avoided. Inevitable means what? Inevitable. Problems are inevitable in life. Means we never invite them. They come all of a sudden. Okay, hardships and problems, worries, okay, burdens come into our life without any invitation. They come inevitably. So inevitable in the sense that cannot be avoided. Haphazard means without plan or order. Haphazard means not planned, without plan or order. So some 6 inches of scale if you take. Seeing it scaled some 6 inches to the mile. There seemed an inevitability about what on ground had looked haphazard, unplanned and without style. Some 6 inches of mile if you check. It means if you are on the ground, if you look at the area, if you look at any place, you feel that it is haphazard. Without any plan, without any order, it is just spread out. Okay, if you move away from the ground only, you can understand how well the planning was done, how well or how geographically it's been designed. So when you are on the ground, you cannot sense it. When you leave the ground and fly up in the jet, and if you look down from there, so then you can understand how geographically that place is designed. Unplanned and without style when the jet sprang into the sky. Unless the jet sprang into the sky, you cannot sense that the planning and the orderly way of designing the things. Okay, all the houses will be in the particular line. Okay, and each building has its own measurement, and every street and roads are in proper measurement, and all the plants are planted in a right way. Okay, and the square parts of the big fields, okay, are also planted in a right way. All these things you cannot sense when you are on the ground. Certain things we can plan it or you can understand from the ground. Certain things are looked as if they are haphazard. Haphazard means without plan or proper order. Okay, this is the first stanza. Let us come to the second stanza. When the jet reached 10,000 feet, okay, now the jet went to some 10,000 feet. It was clear why the country had cities where the rivers ran and why the valleys were populated. If you spring in the jet up to some thousands of miles, then you can understand how these countries are divided, how these cities are get away from the countryside, and how these valleys are well populated. So wherever the resources are there, there you can see the very good development. Okay, and the progression of the people and the progression of different kinds of innovations that you can easily sense when you move away from the ground. See, it was very clear why the country had cities. Now we can understand why our countries have cities, why our countries have countryside, why our valleys are well populated. Valleys are well populated. Why? Everywhere the natural resources are there. Water is available, land is available. Okay, all the natural resources are very close to them, so that the Valleys are well populated. Well populated in the sense more population can be seen in valleys. A valley is nothing but a place between two different or big hills. Okay, two hills can form a valley. Two hills can form a low-lying space that is called valley. Okay, the valleys are well populated because they are more suitable for living. And the logic of geography, this is the logic of geography, that land and water attracted man. What is the logic of geography? The land and water resources. Land is a resource and water is also a great resource. Without water and land, we humans cannot, okay, grow the plants, we cannot grow crops, and without crops our living will become so difficult. We can't even imagine the human life flourishment. Okay, the human life is flourished well on the land just because of water resources and the land. If we have no land and no water, okay, we cannot improve or we cannot develop ourselves. And that land and water attracted man was certainly delineated. The logic of geography, that land and water attracted man, was clearly delineated. Delineated in the sense shown. What is delineated? Shown. Delineated means shown. Okay, the development of the places, the development of the human population can be seen well in certain areas, especially in valleys, because of the water and land resources. The logic of geography. What is the logic of geography? That land and water attracted man. Man was got attracted by water and land. It was clearly delineated. It was clearly seen or shown when the jet reached some 10,000 feet. When the jet sprang into the sky and when the jet reached the 10,000 feet. If you are not springing up, if you are not moving away from the ground, you cannot realize that how well our place is geographically planned out. Understand, children? Let's move on to the last and the third stanza of the poem. When the jet rose, rise, rose, risen. What are the tense forms of rise? Rise, rose, risen. Okay, means move up. Rise is nothing but move up. When the jet rose some 6 miles high, it was clear the earth was round. And you can feel that the earth is round. When you move up to some 6 miles of distance in the jet, you will realize that the whole globe or the earth is just like round. What is the shape of the earth? It was spherical. Actually, we feel that it is round in shape because every single thing can be covered. Okay, with our human eye, with our naked eye, we can see everything. So we feel that especially the earth is round in its view, and that it had more sea than land. When you move up, you can see more water than that of land. So then you can understand that. So which proportion is more? The land's proportion or the water's proportion? The proportion of water is more on the land than that of the land. So the land's portion is very less and the water portion is higher. But it was difficult to understand. Okay, when we look down at the earth, we can realize that water is more and the land is very less. But it was very difficult to understand that the men on the earth found causes to hate each other. Everything looks very, very little in its size when we are moving away from the earth. And here Zulfikar goes, he feels sad. He is regretting regarding the human's behavior. Here Zulfikar Ghosh says that everything is looking very, very simple. The mighty seas and the big earth is looking very small when we are moving away from the earth. Then why the people on earth always quarreling with each other? See the way he thinks about. Okay, when we look from the high grounds, okay, from the skies, high skies, when you look down to the earth looks very, very simple and very small in its size. Okay, but the people, those who live on earth itself is looking very small, but the people on the earth is very, very minute if we come across the size of the people and the importance of the people. But here on the land, people are always quarreling with each other, fighting and having disputes among themselves for simple and silly reasons. Okay, so that's why he says that. But it was very difficult to understand that men on earth found causes to hate each other. We can't even understand, not only Zulfikar Ghosh, even I, in my point of view, I also can't understand why the people are always quarreling with each other and having disputes among themselves. And to build walls across the cities and kill, we are always building, building the walls across and building walls among and between us. We only separating ourselves from the other. We are not supposed to do that. Okay, we all should live in peace and harmony, so that our living on earth would be very safe and sound. So how long we live on this earth, and how long we be little beings on the earth, we should always remember that we are very simple creatures on the earth. So we should not build walls across the cities to kill. From that height, it was not clear why. From that height, it was not clear why. He says that, when I'm looking from some 10,000, 10,000 feet or 10,000 miles from the ground, it's not 10,000 miles also, some 10,000 feet, from the ground, it looks very, very simple. It is not at all looking complicated. But we only making our living very complicated by building walls among and between us. What is my, the central idea of Zulfikar Ghosh is, geography lesson is not just teaching us to learn the environment. We also can understand the mean-mindedness of the people, and we should not have that kind of mean-mindedness. We all should live in peace, and we have to live like peacemakers without having any disputes. I think you understand this geography lesson. This geography lesson is not just teaching us the geography. This is not just teaching us the proportion of earth and the water resources on the earth. It is also teaching us how we need to live on this earth without having any disputes. And we humans should not fight among ourselves, and we countries should not fight with other neighboring countries for certain reasons, because almost all the wars are fought for resources. And these wars are actually these are all trash. They never come along with us. What we have to do is, we should be friendly with all the people on the earth and make peace. This is for that's all for today, and we will meet again in the next class.